Hey, what's up everybody? AMP here. I wanted to show you the ELMS CLI that I've been working on. This is a Yeoman generator. If you're not familiar with Yeoman, it's an NPM module that allows you to scaffold out applications quickly. A lot of different things are built in it. If you want to, get up and run quick with Angular 2, there's a generator for that, a Yeoman generator that you download, and you type Yo and Angular, and then you can scaffold out an Angular application. But it also allows you to quickly develop a CLI pretty easily. So I'm going to download this and show it off a little bit. Still very much in development, but just wanted to give you a sense here. If we install this globally, it's called generator-elms ln CLI. Yes, forgot the name. I'm on slow internet, so this is going to take a bit. But let me actually open up what this looks like, first of all, so you can get a sense of what the files look like. No, it's not. Oop. There we go. Okay, don't know what that was. Anyhow, so this is what a generator looks like. And this is actually generated by a generator. Ooh, very meta. But what this will do is you can put a bunch of different generators in here. Now, typically, you probably wouldn't have this many, but since they're so easy to make, you can really you can take advantage of how easy it is to create these generators and build out a nice looking CLI that I'll show you. So each one of these generators does a very specific thing. And if you put all of those together, I can't believe this is still installing. My internet is so slow. If you put these all together, you have a little generator. So here is our base class for all of these generators that extend off of. And what these do is these are if you want to interact with the file system at all. So here's where you would put all of your methods to go read off your file system, create files, and delete and rewrite files. And here is our starting point. So this is the very first sort of prompt that we see with this CLI. So if I just type, if I just run this ELMS CLI, it will present the users with a list of operations. What do you want to do? Do you want to do something with apps? Do you want to list some shared elements? Do you want to clean dependencies? So those are my top level options. And based on what the user selects, I will send them to another subgenerator. So that's what I mean by combining a bunch of generators together to make a CLI. Let's see if this is done running finally. Yes, thank God. Okay, so now that we've installed that, I'm going to type Yo, and there we have, you can see ELMS ln CLI. So this is just a list of generators that I have for Yeoman. Now, important thing to note, so this is, the name will say it, but this is for the ELMS ln project. So I want you to run this from the root directory. So I'll type Yo, select ELMS ln, and there you can see it's asking us what we want to do here. So this is coming from this generator right here. So let's say that I want apps. So I'll select apps. And let's see, we're presented with another list. So like it says, what operation would you like to perform? It says that because we selected apps, and then it said, okay, well, why don't you go down into this subgenerator called web components apps. And so it came down into this file. And in this file, we're presenting the user with another prompt. That's another list. Okay, what do you want to do with apps? Do you want to create a new app? Do you want to list them? Do you want to serve it? Do you want to push it down into Vagrant? What do you want to do? And based on what the user chooses, again, it will send them down into another sub app. So it's sort of like component architecture a little bit. You make generators that do a very specific thing, and then you collect the options that the user selects, and you send them down. Based on those options, you send them down into other generators. So let's create a new app. So it says Polymer. So if we created a new app, we came down to here. Right now there's only one type of app that you can create. It's a Polymer app, which will send them into this other generator to collect some information to build a Polymer application. So the name of our app, we'll call this the ELMS Media Dashboard. Description. Okay, and it went ahead and created a Polymer app. So how did it do that? Well, I have inside of this generator, this Web Components Polymer generator, I have a template, and inside that template I have another file, and this right here is a built-out Polymer application, except for it's got some variables. So if we look under here, we have an underscore named snake format, and then on here we have some I forget what these are called. I think this is EJS syntax, but basically it says print the variable name snake format here. If we look in here, we have some underscore names. So these are just placeholders. So based on what name I gave my CLI here, so it asks for a name and a description. Based on what name and description I give, it's going to copy the files inside of this directory and replace everything with name underscore with the actual name that the user provided, and the same with the description. And then whenever it's done, it's going to run this Bower install, which I'm not sure if it did or not. Might just be that I'm on horrible internet. But yeah, in any case, we can see here if I do a diff. Nope, steps. Okay, so you can see that it indeed created that dashboard there. And let me open this up in my editor. And okay, so here we go. Okay, so here's our dashboard. And instead of name, underscore name, you can see it replaced it correctly. And it also named everything in here correctly. So it's a really good way of scaffolding stuff out. Also, what this CLI can do is you can run some scripts. So as you saw before, we have ELMS runs on Vagrant. And one of the things you have to do a lot is you have to push these applications after they're built out. You have to push these applications down into Vagrant. So to do that, I put a subgenerator in this CLI called, what is it called? Called Vagrant, and Vagrant push to be precise. And what this will do is it'll come into this, the user will come here initially, and it'll say, what do you want to do? Well, I want to do something with apps. Okay, we'll go down to apps, Vagrant Web Components apps. Okay, inside here, now what do you want to do? Do you want to create it? Do you want to list it? Do you want to serve it? Or do you want to do a Vagrant push? So if the user selects Vagrant push, it'll come down here. It'll set an environment variable that's called operation. It'll set that to Vagrant push. So now the next subgenerator will know exactly what operation the user wants to do. So instead of going directly from here to this vagrant push generator, we have to make one more pit stop. We have to pick out what app we want to push down. So this is a great example of reusing these generators together. So the operation variable set, but we're going to go down to apps list. It will look in the file system, and it'll find all of the applications, all of the apps that are in ELMS, and it'll present that as a list for the user to select. So once the user selects it, it will find out what the path of that app is, and it will pass along the name of the app along with the operation. So come down here, the user has selected an application. We have the path and the name of the application. We're going to check to see, okay, well, did the user want to serve this or did they want to push it? In this case, it checks the operation that was set previously, and it's vagrant push. So it will send this now to vagrant push, and vagrant push will say, okay, well, what was the path? I got to know the path. So based on the path, vagrant should have everything, Yeoman, the CLI, should have everything that it needs to run this vagrant scp command, which will push all those files down to vagrant. So sounds pretty complicated. Let's see if that actually works. I'm not actually sure if it's going to work, but we're going to see. So we'll choose ELMS CLI. We'll say apps. We'll say we want to vagrant push this app. It'll show us all the apps that we have installed in ELMS. We'll say ELMS Media Dashboard. That's the one that we just created. All right, and we have some output. If we scroll up at the very top of this output, this is the vagrant scp command. At the very top, it says, all right, I think it worked. So it says it pushed all of these files down into vagrant. So if we travel into vagrant land, and we go CLI, core, web components, apps, and we list those. There we have the ELMS Media Dashboard. Perfect. So as you can see, it's really cool. If you have to write a CLI, I would recommend checking out Yeoman. It's really well structured, and it has some good documentation to help you write a pretty sweet CLI for your project.